I long for something new. Have you heard the fairies when they sing and dance? Oh, I wish it was me every night. When I close my eyes, I see beauty lives in me. I know I don't yet know it, so I trust you when you say that beauty lives in me too. Later, it comes later, dear, for many of us. I promise you that
Hi, I'm Rob Hollis, one of your relationship experts with myidealmatch.com. Now, I gotta tell you, I have to admit, I messed up. You see, a few days ago, we had our first live. It was my wife's first live stream where she talked about some issues that actually just random people called in and or wrote in and asked her about. I think she did a really great job, but I didn't. See, whenever technology goes down, it's really not the technology's fault, right? It's the guy who was doing the technology stuff. And, before that episode was over, we had to shut it down. She did a good job, and I didn't. In fact, things were so bad that the very next day, she left me. Yeah, this weekend she went on a women's retreat, and as such, she is out of pocket. I am actually filling in, trying to make it up to her, you know. But also, I want to honor the questions that were asked. I mean, the guests that we had some really great questions about relationships, bad relationships, and we even had a guy asking about a woman's perspective on things. So. I wanted to honor those questions, at least get them preserved so those viewers can come back and see them. And I also wanted to get this up there for to preserve my wife's answers because Winona she's just an amazing person. I kind of have a thing for her. But anyway, instead of me just going on about what you're going to hear, why don't I just go ahead and show you some of the things that were discussed, and I'll have a chance to chime in as well. All right. Let's see if I can get these up here on the screen for you, and then you can hear it for yourselves.
Oh, oh, okay. First question. So, do you ever get out of a bad relationship and then not trust anyone? And how do you get past that? Okay. So, that is definitely a process. Few bad relationships, few few bad relationships, and actually a few bad marriages. You just have to be honest with you, have faith um, that the next person that you meet, that you could, be able to have the trust in them. I mean, it is. It's just you have to have the faith. I'm a strong believer in that. Um, you, if you don't have that, then it seems like you might cycle into another bad relationship. So trusting to me is very, very important.
You know, I'm a Pollyanna myself. That means that whenever I go on to that next relationship, I always have this great high hope that things are going to be so much better this time. And sometimes they are, and sometimes they're not. But here's one thing that you got to remember: the one thing that's common among all of the relationships that you've been in, good or bad, is you. I had to recognize that I'm bringing myself to every relationship that I go to. Now, I also guarantee you this: every relationship that you have until the one you marry and grow old with. Every relationship before that went bad somehow, some way. Um, that's sort of a sobering effect. But whenever you look at how you're going to manage your relationships, how you're going to move on from a past relationship, whether or not to trust the next person, you do have some lessons learned about how you conduct yourself in the relationship. We also have to take ownership of the things that we did. Even if even if my ex or your ex or her ex or his ex, even if they're the ones that cheated, even if they're the ones that stepped out, you still have to ask yourself, what did I do to contribute to that? It doesn't give them a pass, not at all. But you also understand that I can do things, I can manage our relationship better, at least from my end, to minimize some of the mistakes that we've had in relationships in the past. And when we have that mindset for self improvement every day, every relationship moving forward, you have a much better chance of finding someone who's trustworthy because you are more trustworthy. So, what else did Carly have to ask? And what did Winona say? Let's see.
All right. Okay. So, how do you get out of a bad relationship when you feel trapped? Um. Wow, that's a good one. Um. I mean, the best thing to do to get out of a relationship like that when you feel trapped is just one. You got to definitely work on um getting untrapped. If that makes sense. So what I mean by that, it's just you have to talk to that person and see what happened, the reason why the relationship is going, you know, bad. And I mean, pretty much you just gotta just, I don't know, it's just something that you don't want to stay in a relationship that make you feel that way. You gotta know who you are. So yeah, I mean that's the best thing to do is just once you find out who you are, and then you should be able to, you know, get yourself away from all the negative stuff.
Okay, so there's two reasons why you might feel trapped in a relationship. Number one is that you don't want to hurt the other person's feelings, right? I mean, you've come to the point of realization that this person is not who I want to spend the rest of my life with, right? But you also realize that in breaking things off, you're probably going to hurt someone that you care for. You can care for that guy without being in love with him or without wanting to spend the rest of your life with him. And so when you know who you are, know what you're looking for, as Winona was talking about, know you enough to know whether or not this relationship is right. Whenever you can get to that, really staying any longer when it's not the right relationship, it doesn't do any good for you or for him. For you, you're keeping someone in the place of your ideal match, and they can never come into your life while this other person is still in that spot. And you're actually doing the same thing for this other person as well, for the guy that you're dating. That breakup, it is going to feel bad to them. They're going to wonder why. And I gotta say, sometimes that old song is absolutely right. Sometimes you have to be cruel to be kind. The reason why you're breaking up with him may not be the same reason why someone else would break up with him. It might be. There might be some constructive criticism to provide, but this is not the time to do it. You don't want to provide any goals for the person to strive for. You don't want to suggest that they could improve on something to fix the relationship. If you have decided that it's not working and you're only staying because you feel trapped, you really need to find a way to just unequivocally, without explanation, without um, providing a justification for it. It's just, I do not want to marry you. And it can be as simple as that. You might get a lot of tears. Oh, why not? And that's natural. I don't mean to make fun because I was probably on the delivery side of that kind of sobbing as well. I don't understand why you're breaking up with me. Later on, God will show you. God will show that person why that relationship did not work out. But in the moment, take this for example. Let's say I'm dating a girl, I'm absolutely head over heels in love with her, and she says to me, Rob, you know what? You've got everything going for you. You're smart. Um, you wear those amazing t-shirts, and you've got that beautiful goatee going on. You're just a beautiful man, but I need to break up because you're kind of short. If you put that out there, if that's the only thing that I need to fix, my response will be, "Hey, I'll go out and get some platform shoes, girl. I can be tall enough for you." No, don't give me anything to strive for to show you that I love you enough to change. That's not how it works. You're doing them a favor by letting them go. Now, the other reason why you might feel trapped is if the relationship is somewhat abusive, whether it be emotionally abusive or worse, physically abusive. Now, you see this more in a marriage because when you're married and, of course, living together, um, your home becomes somewhat of a jail cell. You don't feel like you can leave. You don't feel like you can get out. You don't feel like you can escape. Even your home is not a sanctuary. That some people consider it to be somewhat of a cliche whenever they talk about a woman who waits for her husband to go off to work, and then while he's gone, she packs up the kids, packs up the clothes, packs up everything she can fit in a car, and tries to escape. And as she's trying to get out the door, as she's trying to pull out of the driveway, that day of all days, the husband comes home early. This isn't just a movie scene, guys. This happened to Winona in her first marriage. She even had a family member coming over to help her out. And as they were pulling out, husband came home from work early. Now these are the types of things. One of the reasons why we advise against cohabitation before covenant. Because if you're living together and you start to see these abusive signs or other things that make you feel trapped, then you're trapped in your own home at that point. So, wait until you're married and covenant for so many other reasons. And we can get to that in coaching. But for this, in this context, think about having to be trapped or being trapped in your own home. That's part of the reason to stay away from that kind of situation. But yeah, in both cases, you need to find a way to get out. Alrighty. I think there was a follow-up question or perhaps a story from my dear wife. Here we go. Let's see if I can play.
All right, here's another question. So, how do you trust yourself after all that? Wow, that's a great question. Um, you have, like I said, you have faith in you and a strong believer in the process as far as everything that I have done is I definitely go back to the Father about everything and to trust you. That's something that is inner, and you just gotta work. Like I said, what you said a little bit earlier, you work on yourself, and then once you work on yourself and you go through the process of healing and doing different stuff, then you know that trust will definitely be there. You know.
Yes, trust. Wow. Wow. Here's the thing about trust. You do have to accept and understand that you are going to grow every step of the way. And we can learn from our past experiences, right? If you can learn from your past experiences and also get the right guidance moving forward. I mean, some of us have realized I've really got a bad sniffer when it comes to looking for a good match for me. You know, I some women will consider themselves to be bad guy magnets, and some guys are in the same boat, always getting the kind of girl who is not good for them. So it also becomes a matter of it. Yeah, it is a matter of trusting yourself, but also getting the right training, getting the right guidance, so you know what to look for. Now, a lot of times we make decisions based on our feelings. We make decisions based on aesthetics. Oh, she looks so beautiful. Oh, he has those great muscles, that washboard stomach, that those flat abs. And I could go on and on, but I think I could stop there, right? We get attracted to what we see, but we buy into a situation without understanding the substance or the character of the person. So because we have this tendency to get madly head over heels in love just for shallow observations, that's why we coach you to go slow at the beginning and really get to understand. We'll show you how to understand, how to get to know someone at the level that you need to understand them so you can make an objective decision for yourself before things get out of hand. And knowing that process, trusting that process, will help you trust yourself as you're moving forward. And here's that story I was telling you about.
So I guess that do have a little story about making sure that you um, trust in yourself, because you get to the point where you feel like um, you might have a moment where you don't feel like you can trust. However, once you study and, like I said, make sure that you are within yourself, making sure that everything is okay, then you can, like I said, you can start trusting again. So, I mean, I went down this road, but the biggest thing, I guess it really went hard for me to start trusting again, because I'm not the type of person that really had trust issues. So that wasn't the seemed like the biggest thing. That was I never felt like I just couldn't, totally trust anybody, or even, trust myself. So I've dealt with it, but not, not as bad, and stuff. So just, I mean, just like I said, you with this, you deal with a lot of things, like I said, bad relationships, how you get yourself out of them, trust issues, just several different things in relationships. I mean, you just definitely want to make sure that you are whole, because if you're not whole and then you try to go into a new relationship, then you're starting to bring baggage, and you really don't want to bring baggage, into a new relationship. Not gonna say you're not gonna bring some baggage into a relationship, but you don't want to bring a whole lot of baggage, because it doesn't. After it's not good, because then that trust you have to trust the other person if you do bring the baggage to explain what you bring it into your relationship, if that makes sense.
Now, that is so spot on. You got to be whole within yourself. You got to understand where you need to be relative to your validation source. A lot of us get into a relationship looking to get validation from somebody else. Sometimes we consider that relationship to be our identity. And when we do that, we really dilute ourselves, because you, in and of yourself, are a beautiful whole person, and you can't need someone else to help define who you are. So, whenever you know yourself, it's a whole lot easier to trust. Whenever you become whole within yourself, whenever you're getting your validation from the right source, that's when you can be more trusting of others. But I'll tell you this, that hesitancy to trust, it doesn't go away right away. Funny story. You know Winona as Winona. In fact, it says so right there on the bottom of our screen over here. On Facebook, she's known as Winona. But you know what? I didn't know her Facebook account when we first met. I was seeing her for several months. Whenever she introduced herself to me, she introduced herself to me as Lynn. Lynn. Lynne. Lynn. And I really liked the name. I was like, oh, wow, Lynn. And we sat down and had lunch with her kids once. Her kids are grown. They're mid-20s, almost 30. And I kept calling her Lynn, and they turned to me halfway through lunch and said, "Why do you keep calling our mom Lynn?" I said, "Well, isn't that her name?" You gotta understand, I'm feeling a little weird right now because I don't even know the name of this girl that I said that I love, and it was disclosed. Well, yeah, that's my middle name. My first name is Winona, she says. I said, "Well, why did you give me your middle name?" She said, "Well, I wanted you to be special." That sounded really good at the time. But then a little bit later on, I realized what had really happened. At the very beginning, she had no idea if I was going to be somebody that she could trust. And she had no idea if she could trust herself with me in choosing me. So she gave me a name that I couldn't trace her if things went south. Well, it kind of stuck. And, of course, things worked out between us. But it was interesting to know that she gave me a name that was true, but she gave me her middle name because of a lack of trust. And you can imagine a little bit later on, whenever my friends started um, seeing her on my Facebook page. Because all this time, for months and months, I've been talking about my girlfriend Lynn. My girlfriend Lynn, this girl that I met, Lynn. She's amazing, Lynn. And then they see me in a relationship with Winona. Literally, a lot of people ask me, "Are you cheating on Winona with Lynn? Or are you cheating on Lynn with Winona?" I said, "No, they're the same person." So yeah, trust is a big thing, and knowing the process of how to find true love, knowing how to um, look at someone objectively relative to what you're looking for, that goes a long, long way to helping you trust your next person that you pursue. Now, we had a question from Philip. Yeah, a guy, but he was looking for a woman's perspective on something. And so I'll let him go ahead and ask the question now.
Okay, so this is from Philip, and I hope I'm saying your name right. I would like to get a woman's perspective. Okay, I've been told to act uninterested in women, that we like get them more interested in me. Is this true? Okay, so to act uninterested. Okay, so one question about that is: are you in your relationship, sorry, even when you're talking to women, are you too much of yourself? So you really, some women don't want you to give them everything. You have to be somewhat of a little bit of a mystery, so that you in your relationship you can spread it out, so you can really know get each other in your relationship. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's is that a totally true statement or not. So, but yeah, just don't get everything. Don't act completely.
Now you're starting to see some of those technical issues that we had. That was the beginning of the worst of it. And yeah, we because of those chippy choppy stuttering and glitches in the feed, we had to pull the original video down. But it was a really great question and actually a great response from my wife as well. So let me recap because I know it was kind of choppy. He asked, you know what, guys are told, and I'll attest to this. Guys are told, hey, if you want a girl to like you, don't show that you like her. I was like, yeah, is that a little backwards? And I'm going to tell you this right now. There's a lot of um, manipulative things that guys are taught to do, and I'm going to encourage you guys, don't do them. You do not want to start what could be a lifelong relationship on a note of insincerity. If you like her, if there's something that you like about her, pursue her. But don't pursue her like she's the last woman on earth. Don't pursue her like you just have to have her. Pursue her like you want to get to know more about her. Because whenever you know more about her, then you'll truly discover the things that are worth falling in love for. How her hair looks one day, or how she dresses another day. I'll just leave it right there. Um, these aesthetic things, sure, compliment her, but these are not the things to fall in love with, because those, aesthetic beauty is going to fade over time. I'm sorry, it happens for most people. Um, I'm sorry. I do have to admit that my wife, I keep pointing to her like she's here because she is the angel on my right. But wow, I don't think that girl knows how to age. But for most people, they are going to age and they are going to fade in terms of their aesthetic beauty. But as that happens, their inner beauty is going to grow more and more. And if you're falling in love with their inner beauty, then you're falling in love with the right things. But you can't come out the gate just pursuing like she's the last girl on earth, because she's going to wonder about your level of desperation. She also said, you don't want to give up everything in terms of, just the way you want to connect. There are some conversations that are reserved for your more intimate people in your life. There's some conversations that I would only have with my wife. There's some conversations that you would not have with someone that you're in early dating stages with. And a good gauge for that is if you would say something publicly, if you would post something on Facebook, something like that, yeah, you could probably talk about in front of her or with her. But when it comes to your deeper, more intimate things, you might want to get to know her first before you go that deep. And as far as showing interest, yes, if you are interested in her, show interest in getting to know her, not interest in marrying her tomorrow. Because that last one is just a little on the creepy side. She does need to earn your interest, and whenever I say that, that means get to know her. Well, that is what we've got for this stream. That's what we've got from the last live that we tried. Um, I really appreciate you tuning into this, and I hope my wife appreciates me pulling this together to making sure that we didn't lose all of this content. Good stuff, honey, and I am so so proud of you. All right, this is Rob Hollis with My Relationship Experts, talking to you about myidealmatch.com. We'll talk to you soon.
You know it, so I trust you when you say that music.